Hello, hello, hello. We are back with Steve and Rabbi Weinberg, myself on Soul Talk. I'm just going to briefly introduce myself in case you didn't get it yet. I am the author of Kabbalah Love and host of Kabbalah Wisdom, written about 20 books on Judaism, Jewish mysticism. Steve, why don't you do a little intro?
I'm Steve, personal trainer from Nicaragua. I used to train Madonna and Chuck Norris, and now I'm here.
Very nice. Living the dream, living the dream. Okay. So the truth is, the reason I asked Steve to join us is because he's actually become a soul trainer. He's training his own soul, no?
I'm training my own soul. I'm thinking about what Passover means and how does it affect me personally. And that's what I was thinking about for the first couple of days. And I was thinking about, when you clean the house and you look for every bit of stuff that's not supposed to be in the house and you clean it and you get rid of it. But then after the house is clean, what does Passover actually mean? Actually, what it means to me was to look inside my soul and get rid of all the negative stuff. And every year, we're supposed to clean our house. Clean our house is cleaning ourselves from negative thoughts. Getting rid of, am I addicted to the iPhone? Am I addicted to watching too much TV? Am I thinking negative thoughts? How do I get rid of all of that? And that's what I was thinking during Passover, to work on stuff that I've collected that I need to get rid of. There's a big difference between Yom Kippur and Passover. During Yom Kippur, I think about what I've done to other people and think back during the whole year, and I've done this, I've done that. I need to apologize and correct my situation. But during Passover, it's what I've collected, and I have to clean the house.
Nice. I think what you're saying is absolutely true because we're all meant to be soul trainers. And that's really the job of the soul on this planet, to train our soul. And really what our soul basically is, in a way, apart from living, but it's desire. And when we put our soul into, that was really the sin of eating the forbidden fruit. He looked at something that he shouldn't have looked at. And that today is one of the greatest challenges that we have. Once upon a time, we were pretty protected, but the internet has exploded. Everybody has access to all the, I don't want to say it, but pornography, all the sick media, even kind of Hollywood stuff is half of that. It's all kind of just crazily accessible. And I was telling you that for myself, just to be happy, you got to stay away just from the news. You would think about the news, what could be bad, but the news makes you depressed. And so I think what you're saying is really important, because cleansing our house, cleansing our soul from negative influences, that's what it's all about. And I was telling my daughter today, she's a very bright girl, that at the end of the day, the only one that can do it is you. Nobody can clean your house for you. In a way, you don't want anyone, because that would be like kind of repression. They're saying, oh, you may do this, you may do that. But in terms of, if you want to be happy, you've got to let go of influences that either are going to make you addictive. I interviewed this great doctor, Dr. Sokol. He's a psychiatrist, internist, endocrinologist. I don't know how many people have 3 medical degrees. And he was saying that just the cell phone is an addictive thing, and you never have to answer. You see it a lot of the young people today. They look like kind of a little bit zombie-ish. And he was saying that people have this, they're always in the back of their mind, oh, I've got to answer the text. They're like, imagine you have 1,000 bosses. That's how they're feeling. Like, well, that guy's my boss because he's going to WhatsApp me, and that guy's my boss because FaceApp. And like, you can't live like that. No, this psychologist, a friend of mine, she said this. She was quoting for someone. He said that technology is a convenience, and I use it when it's convenient. That's such a great line. Only use technology if it's convenient. If it's not convenient, then don't do it. Jerry Seinfeld had this funny thing. He was holding a BlackBerry. This when it first came out. It was like imitating the guy that's addicted. He's like, Well, the reason he's doing it is because BlackBerry's telling him to do it. It's the same thing. Everybody's like pinging you and trying to get your consciousness. You gotta have your own head. I remember the story that this Rabbi Garari from Buffalo, a really smart guy, special guy. So he said, people used to think. He had an uncle who was, especially Hasidim. They would meditate, think about God. And once he lost, I don't know, a coin fell under the bed. So he went to collect it. And it was just like such a sublime place under the bed. It's dark, it's comfortable. So he just started to think. Meanwhile, his family was looking for him. They saw him lying under the bed. They thought he had died. So the point is, it's such an amazing thing to think. And so I would recommend three things. Number one, get rid of the media. Number two, whenever you wake up in the morning, you got to thank God for your blessings. You got to see positivity in your life. And number three is you got to get into nature. You got to take a walk without the phone. And I think the reason there's suicides, the reason all these things are going on is because people's brains are not calming down. The way the brain is meant to function, as you can see in sleep, we calm down, we file things away, we wake up, and we're meant to be fresh again. But they're just like constantly wired. What would you say to that? Because you've trained a lot of famous people, and I know that you go into their psyche, you go into their soul to really bring out the best in them. What would you say to I'm sure you met a lot of people that were just like wired. What would you say to kind of finding that equilibrium?
I find myself, I don't carry my phone. I leave my phone at home. My day is planned before I leave the house. If something changes, I just go with the flow, but I don't carry the phone. If someone says, but I tried to call you, I said, but I don't have a phone. I don't carry it.
Yeah.
You never see me. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. I'm not answering my phone. I'm not being part of it. I've been with people and we're sitting down at dinner and they're on the phone. They're on the phone the whole dinner time, or they're answering something. I'm at the gym. I can't get on the machine because the guy is on the phone and he's just sitting there. No, if you want to be part of this world, then be part of this world. But you have to get rid of all these other problems. Get rid of the phone. Don't pay attention to what's happening in the news. Be positive. Don't be proactive instead of being reactive. My client comes in and he says, I'm having a terrible day. You can't go, oh yeah, so am I. You have to go, no, I'm having a great day. That's kind of his problem. No, you're in control of your world, and just keep controlling of your world. Be part of your world. Don't be on the phone.
The Rebbe has a beautiful teaching. I guess he understood what was coming. And he said, whenever you learn Torah, it has to be like Shabbos. If it's Shabbos, I can't use technology. It's Shabbos. And it's such a peaceful day. I would tell everybody, you've got to keep Shabbos. Even if you're a Gentile, just have a day without technology. Because when you do it, Shabbos is an island in time. I mean, how does Shabbos feel for you?
Shabbos is unbelievable. I mean, I start Shabbos on Thursday. Sometimes I start it on Wednesday. They say, what are you doing? I'm getting ready for Shabbos, but Shabbos is on Friday. I know, but I have to go shopping. I have to go. And I plan everything around Shabbos. But since I'm not addicted to the phone, people know they can't call me on Shabbos. And they can't do anything. If you want to see me, you have to come to the house. Right. But Shabbos is getting away. Yeah. But you have to understand something, Rabbi Zevi. I'm on vacation my entire life. I'm living in Nicaragua. I have blue skies. I have white clouds. I have coconut trees. I own nothing. I have no problems. And I deal with things that just happen to come up. And they never bother me because I don't let them. There's only two ways to think about things, negative or positive. But if you think of everything as positive, what kind of problems could you have? And if you really, really trust in Hashem, God, then you have no problems. And when you do collect some kinds of problems, that's what Passover is here, to cleanse your closets and cleanse everything and get rid of that extra baggage. And that's what we have. You can't do it in one day. It takes about a week to get rid of all these extra negative thoughts. Any negative thought you have to get rid of. And that's why God gave us Passover. That's what I believe, because we're all slaves in Egypt. We're all addicted to something, either money or pornography or too much television. Or, I mean, I know that I used to do binge watching on Netflix. I did so much Netflix that a thing would come up and say, "Are you still watching?" And you had to click yes. So no, you have to get rid of all these negative thoughts and all these, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and we're living in the ultimate time because never before in human history has there been more spirituality given to us. The Rebbe, who was in charge of the largest Jewish publishing house, Kahas, printed everything. Hundreds upon hundreds of manuscripts and books and Hasidus. I mean, you can go to my website, and I'm just a small fry, and you can spend literally a year studying. You go to Chabad.org, and you can literally spend 100 years studying. You go to Sichos in English, SIE.org, also 50 years studying. There is so much information. And so we have such incredible gifts. And of course, if you can make money and help people, that's like great. There's so many incredible things to do. But just like, whenever there's like an explosion of goodness, there's an explosion of stupidity, because everything has to be balanced. Because if there was just goodness, everybody would do it and would be no accomplishment. So we're living now, when God says, "See, I have placed before you life and death, good and evil, choose life." That's where we're living. There's like an infinite amount of goodness available to us, and there's an infinite amount of stupidity and pornography and addiction like never before available to us. Now, I just want you to think about one thing. Do you want life? Do you want death? One thing is going to make you happy actually forever, because like you said, our souls are infinite. We live with our memories for eternity. You can't just get away with saying, "Oh, well, I just did it one day." No, that memory will stay with you. And particularly if you did the right thing, Mashiach is about to come. And it's just what we do now with that choice. When Mashiach comes, it's obvious. That's going to make us proud of ourselves. And if we, like you say, binge Netflix, which a lot of people do, it's useless. It's just a waste of time. Now, I'm not saying that I'm holier than thou. I went through my kind of binging on movies. But eventually, thank God, eventually when you binge enough, you just regurgitate it. You say, "This is stupid. It's meaningless and has no value for me." And the thing is, if you're smart, you learn from wiser people, or I shouldn't say wiser people, more experienced people like Steve, myself. We've been there. We've done it. And hundreds of millions of people, if not billions of people, we've been in the secular world. We tried it. It's useless. It's nothing. It has nothing to offer. When I go to YouTube and I'm not signed in, I just look at the videos. It's just all stupid. It's a collection of stupidity, and they're trying to sell that stupidity so they can sell you an advertisement. That's the entire media. Everything is the same thing. That's the entire kind of media world, entertainment world. It's the exact same thing. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to live a life that you're going to be proud of, that everything you study connects you to God, connects you to truth, makes you a better person? Or a life that actually everything is the reverse, because things are only lifting you up or pulling you down. There's nothing, life is not static. Whatever you look at matters. It's going to be a good influence or a bad influence. There's just no two ways about it. And so our task in this world, and that's really why I wanted you to do this video, is like you actually have to, now we're on Pesach, and people, please God, they'll be seeing this tomorrow. So there's 4 days left of Pesach. And please God, Mashiach will be here on Sunday. But you got to do the work. You got to say, what is my good? What is my death? And what do I prefer to engage in? What do I prefer not to engage in? And I'm going to conclude with one thing, and that is that I've been very inspired. I saw the Rebbe speaks about Egypt is about going out of your personal boundaries. There are things that lock us up. And you know what the Rebbe said? Very interesting, because he gave a list of boundaries. The thing that is the greatest boundary for a person is what? Thinking you need to follow the crowd. That's what's the greatest boundary. And if you can get rid of that addiction and say, no, the crowd is always like a herd, and one day they walk off the cliff. If you can find me one society not led by a prophet, but any society led by a man that did not walk off a cliff, I will give you $1,000, because they all do it, whether it was Marxism and socialism, it all ends up, even democracy, to be perfectly frank, because you still need God, you need a value system. Democracy on its own, every single time it was tried, whether it was Greek, whether it was Roman, unfortunately we're seeing it, it also implodes because it doesn't have a higher value system. And so we have to really take our lives in the hand. We don't need to be one of the cows that are chasing the herd right off the cliff. Any any final notes?
You have to look within to find happiness,
Yes,
and that will be true happiness.
absolutely. And what would you say is the mechanism to look within, and what are we meant to find?
The mechanism is you could always dwell on negative thoughts. It's so easy. Sometimes we're gravitated to dwell on the negative instead of the positive. But you have to learn to start dwelling on the positive and not the negative. And once you find that, then you found, honestly, true happiness.
Steve, all I can say is you make me happy. Thank you so much. I really think that God has graduated you from just being a body trainer, which actually is very important. We got to keep healthy, and a healthy body helps a healthy mind. Really important for everyone to do that. But equally, if not 1,000 times more important, is to train your mind. And again, we're so not trained. A little bit in the East, they understand the importance of training the mind. But in the West, we've been so dogmatically turned into kind of, oh, science, it's all psychological. It's all a bunch of baloney. Everything that's going on, yeah, it's psychological, and that's going to make a difference. What you think about, sure, it's psychological. That's a whole new field from Seligson called positive psychology. They always basically, psychology always just reinvents itself because the past usually is stupid. But positive psychology is really good. It's like, forget about the past, just be positive in the present. And it's so simple, because if you do that, the past won't matter. Because if you're happy today, the only reason we think about the past is because it's bothering us. We're not putting in positivity. Basically, something happened that made us upset. And instead of saying, well, let me just think positive and do something that will make me happy, we're like, oh, I need to go back and somehow rearrange the past. The past is the past. And everything that happened takes you to a better level, a higher level, a greater consciousness. And you don't want to get stuck in that infantile or the childish or whatever stage you were, because basically it wasn't a tenable situation. You weren't that smart then. Maybe you were happier because you were naive. But now you have the option to really, through real effort, do what has to be done to make you happy. And as I say all the time, it says in our sages said, Torah, study Torah. Torah makes you happy, especially Hasidus, Jewish mysticism. Avoda, daven, pray to Hashem. Think about those words. I know you spend a lot of time in prayer. And Milos Chasadim, help people. Anybody that spends 5 hours a day doing that cannot be anything but happy. So it's up to us. Happiness is an inside job. It's an internal job. And ultimately, it's a choice that we make. And it's not like there's a pill. Sure, when you were young, your parents loved you and everything was good, hopefully. So you're happy, but you're not young anymore. Now you're an adult. Now you got to make your own happiness. And there are millions of people that do it, and they're very happy. But like you said before, if you're not spiritual, you can forget about being happy. One of the greatest psychiatrists, Dr. Abraham Tversky, said this. People asked him about happiness. He said, you got to be spiritual, because if you're spiritual, you have a purpose, you have a goal, you have a mission. Ultimately, if you're just like a gerbil running around, and that's what a lot of people are doing. Oh, if I have more money, if I have that, it ain't going to make you happy, because it's like a gerbil. Eventually, the gerbil gets probably tired of running around in circles too. So, Steve, any concluding remarks?
It's not only important for you to be happy, but it's also very important to bring happiness into this world. So when you meet somebody and you're happy instead of negative, it brings godly thoughts into this world.
That's beautiful. Well, everything boils down to action steps. So from my perspective, I would say the action steps are: when you wake up in the morning, think about 10 things that you're grateful for. And maybe can you give somebody 1 or 2 action steps that they can do?
When you meet somebody, just be happy and greet them with happiness instead of negative. If it's raining, it's raining. If it's not a great day, it's not a great day. but it doesn't really have to affect you. As long as you bring happiness into this world, the vibes of the happiness bring goodness into this world. You know, when you're in a party and everybody's happy, the party is a great party. If someone comes in and they're like, and very negative, the party becomes really bad. That one person could change everything.
Wow, so that's powerful. Here's a practical way of saying it. See yourself as the person that's meant to make others happy. And I think that itself, 90% of unhappiness is because we're too obsessed with our own happiness. But the moment we get out of ourselves and we see ourselves as the person that needs to make others happy, we'll be ecstatic because there's always people that need to be happy. We get out of ourselves. We're in a positive mission. I know a lady, she's like really special. She's always thinking about others, how to make others happy, and she's really happy. So the more we think about how to make others happy, the infinitely more we will be happy. Make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
So, Steve, I want to bless you that God should bestow upon all of us true and infinite happiness, which is Oz Yomol Yischak Pinu. Then we will be completely happy with the coming of the Mashiach. Please, God, may you be here. The last days of Pesach are very auspicious for the coming of the Mashiach. The final day of Pesach is called Achen Shel Pesach. We have a Mashiach Suda. The Haftarah is all about Mashiach. So, with God's help, we will see Mashiach literally within 4 days, and we will be happily ever after.
Amen.
Amen, amen. Okay, thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.